you guys, how are you? I miss you big time. Now first, before I start, I want to thank my beautiful friend Hala and the incredibly creative Liane for sending me their lovely pictures. They colored boldly and sent me the pictures and I love them. Thank you very much. Now, how about today we have a new Disney story. Who knows Pinocchio? Well, the story starts that Geppetto, the creative carpenter who does stuff out of wood, made a puppet and he called that puppet Pinocchio. But because Geppetto was a very good man and he really wanted a son of his own, the blue fairy appeared and brought Pinocchio to life. And if Pinocchio proves that he's a good boy, the fairy is going to make him a real boy one day. There's something that you need to know about Pinocchio. When he lies, his nose becomes longer. So today we're going to read a story about one of their adventures. Okay, let's start. Pinocchio, a nose for trouble. School was out for the day, and Pinocchio was ready to have some fun. The puppet skipped down the cobblestone street. A small figure followed him. It was Pinocchio's pal, Jiminy Cricket. "Wait for me!" he called. Jiminy caught up with Pinocchio in front of the small shop where the puppet lived with Geppetto, his father. Geppetto carved all sorts of things out of wood, but his greatest creation was Pinocchio. "Father, I'm home!" Pinocchio called. The only answer was the tick-tock of a dozen clocks. "Father?" Pinocchio said. He went into the next room and found Geppetto seated at a workbench. "Father, what are you making?" Pinocchio asked. "A cuckoo clock," Geppetto replied. "I even brought home a real one for a model. That way I can carve the cuckoo just right." "Oh, may I take the bird out and play with him?" Pinocchio asked excitedly. "I'm afraid not," said Geppetto. "You aren't the only one who's been watching him." Geppetto nodded toward Figaro the cat, who was following the cuckoo's every move. "Please," begged Pinocchio, "I'll be careful." "I'm sorry, son," Geppetto said gently. "I don't want Figaro to chase him." Pinocchio spent the afternoon in the workshop. Every few minutes he glanced up at the birdcage and imagined what fun it would be if a cuckoo perched on his fingers. He had never held a live bird before, and he was very curious to find out if it would sing to him. Would it sit on his shoulder and go wherever he went? He wondered. At the end of the day, Geppetto went out to the market. As soon as he left, Pinocchio hurried over to the birdcage. "Pinocchio," Jimmy said, "what are you doing?" "Taking the bird out so we can play," the puppet replied. "Don't worry, I'll be careful." As Pinocchio opened the bird cage, Figaro jumped onto the table. "Watch out!" Jimmy cried as Figaro the cat jumped towards the open bird cage. Figaro was fast, but the cuckoo was faster. The bird zipped out of the cage. Crash! Figaro hit the side of the cage. The bird flew around the room. "See," said Pinocchio to Jiminy the Cricket, "I told you it's going to be fine." "You know," Jiminy the Cricket said, "you disobeyed your father." The bird darted in and out. It was flying everywhere. everywhere the bird went to, Figaro the cat followed. Suddenly, the bird flew towards the window. Bird spotted the open window and went out of the shop. Just then, Geppetto entered the shop and immediately spotted the empty bird cage. "Pinocchio!" he yelled. "I told you not to open the bird cage! Now look what have happened! I'm very disappointed at you!" "I didn't do it," said Pinocchio and pointed at Figaro. "It was Figaro. He opened the bird cage and ate the cuckoo." "Figaro!" cried Geppetto. He picked up the cat to scold him, which was lucky for Pinocchio. At that moment, Pinocchio's nose began to grow until it was the length of a crayon. It was growing because he had lied. Pinocchio didn't want his father to realize he had told a lie, so he tried to hide his nose. "Father," Pinocchio said, "I think I'll go to bed early tonight. I'm not feeling well." By the time Pinocchio had gotten under the covers, his nose had grown another inch. The next morning, Pinocchio sneaked out of the bed early. Then he headed for the door, calling, "Goodbye, Father! I'm off to school!" Hurried after him. He knew Pinocchio wasn't going to go to school because his nose was growing again. "Pinocchio!" Ginny said, "You must start telling the truth." "But I can't," cried Pinocchio. "I'll get into too much trouble." Pinocchio hurried through town, asking people if they had seen the cuckoo. Then he bought a birdhouse and some seeds, hoping that the cuckoo would stop for a snack. But the cuckoo did not show up. Everywhere Pinocchio went, Jiminy Cricket followed, trying to convince him to say the truth. But Pinocchio did not listen. Pinocchio told lie after lie about why he wasn't at school, where he was going, and what he was doing. Each time, his nose grew a little longer. By the end of the day, Pinocchio's nose was longer than ever before, and he still hadn't found the cuckoo. "Maybe you're right," Pinocchio said with a sigh. "It's time to tell the truth." The puppet began to walk back through the streets of the village. Jiminy had to run ahead to clear a path. At last they got home, with Pinocchio arriving several seconds after Jiminy and his nose. "Father, Figaro didn't really eat the cuckoo," Pinocchio told his father. "I opened the bird cage and the cuckoo flew away. I'm sorry I disobeyed you, but most of all, I'm sorry I lied." As Pinocchio spoke, his nose became shorter and shorter until it was back to its normal size. "Well, I'm glad you finally told the truth," said Geppetto, "and now I have something to show you." Pinocchio inside, where an object sat on the table covered with a sheet. Had his father finished carving the clock? Geppetto drew aside the sheet, and under it was a bird cage with the cuckoo inside. "Where did you find it?" Pinocchio said. "While I was working in my workshop, I found it coming from the window. I think that it likes it here," said Geppetto. "It should. It's the best home ever," said Pinocchio. Before long, night had fallen. Pinocchio yawned. "It's time for bed," Geppetto said with a smile. Pinocchio gave his father a hug and got into bed. The cuckoo sang sweetly, and everyone drifted off to sleep. Two mistakes. The first thing was he disobeyed his father and opened the bird cage. And what was the second mistake? He lied and lied and lied and lied. But the good thing is that he went back home and told his father the truth. And it ended up perfect for everyone. So mistakes do happen, but we're mistakes and never ever lie. Okay? I hope that you enjoyed the story. See you next time. Bye bye.